and welcome to Rathods Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see today's and yesterday's current affairs which appear in Hindu newspaper, and I wish you a very happy Ramzan all of you guys. And before getting started I want to make a small announcement. We in Rathods Science Academy we are going to start new prelims cum mains foundation batch from April 8th onwards, and we are also providing 5 days of free demo guys, that is from April 8th to April 12th. And you can come to our institute and you can sit in the class and you can listen the class, and later on only you can take your decision to join this academy or not. Okay, and if you want to visit our academy and if you want to talk to me directly regarding the course or any details or anything, you can call us on this number 8074765513. And also you can visit our academy which is in this Ashok Nagar itself, that is above Vikas Book Center, second and third floor, opposite sub register office. And you can come and you can directly talk to me guys. Okay, so now let us see the first important article which appeared in our yesterday's newspaper. So actually yesterday's newspaper is entirely filled with this incident called as earthquake. Okay, so actually if you see this earthquake which is directly seen in your syllabus, so if there is any earthquake not only in India, in other parts of the world, or if any country is having this earthquake, means you have to make a note of that as an example. Okay, so now let us see the title. Title says Myanmar earthquake, death toll crosses 1600. Okay, so now let me write the keyword. Keyword is earthquake. So from which subject you will be seeing this guys? From GS paper 1 in geography. That too we have this topic in our world geography. So what are the dimensions you have to see? You have to see about what is this earthquake, what is the definition or what is the meaning of this earthquake. And next you have to see about what are the causes for this earthquake. And next you have to see types of earthquakes. And next one is you have to see about this waves or seismic waves. So in this waves we have normally two types of waves. First one is body waves. Second one is surface waves. So in this body waves we have two types, P waves and S waves. And in surface wave we have Rayleigh waves and Love waves. Okay. And next very important concept you have to see is shadow zone. Okay, shadow zone of P and S waves. So based on this we can understand the interior of Earth. So because of the studying of the shadow zone of P and S waves, we came to know that in core we have outer core and inner core. Inner core is solid and outer core is liquid. So that thing that we came to know after studying of the shadow zones. And next you have to see what is the impact of the earthquake. And next very important, you have to see magnitude and intensity of the earthquake. So we'll be having scales like Marcelli scales. Okay, for example we have Richter scale. So what is that Marcelli scale and Richter scale, what it measures? It is very important, and their value also very important. And next important thing here is you have to see disaster management cycle. This is from your DM, which comes under your GS paper 3. And one important work you have to do is you have to draw India map and you have to see vulnerable areas. So normally how many earthquake zones are present in India? We have 4 earthquake zones. So you have to see in which part of our country which earthquake zone is located. So that thing that you have to add in your disaster management. Vulnerability, it is called as vulnerability map. Okay, so all these things that you have to see, and this topic is important from both your prelims and mains. So in prelims also you can get questions, and also in mains, especially in mains you will be getting questions from disaster management guys. Okay, now let us see this article. So death toll from a huge earthquake that hit Myanmar and Thailand, and around 1600 people they died, and still many of them were injured. Okay, so actually if you see the magnitude of this earthquake, it is 7.7 magnitude. So where it had happened? In the northwestern part of Myanmar. Okay, now let us see some facts regarding this earthquake. So what is the meaning of earthquake? Earthquake is nothing but shaking of earth. Whenever earth is shaking, it will be releasing certain energy. So energy in the form of seismic waves. Okay, so earthquake in simple words, it is called as shaking of the earth, and it is normally a natural event. And actually, because of some man-made things like construction of dams or like big infrastructure, so because of that also sometimes it will cause artificial earthquakes. Normally, earthquake is considered as a natural event, and it is caused because of release of energy, and it generates waves, and these waves, what happens, they will travel in different directions. Okay, and actually these vibrations are called as seismic waves. They generated from the earthquakes and they travel through the earth, and they are recorded on instruments. So which instrument that we will be using for measuring of this earthquake? That is seismograph. It is also very important. Okay, so especially if you say this is earth surface, for example, at this point the trigger happened, so this point is called as focus, and here this area is called as hypocenter or epicenter. And if you see about these types of seismic waves, we have two types, as I said. So which are those two types? We have body waves and we have surface waves. And actually, whenever this earthquake happens, the first recorded waves are body waves. And in this, we have two types, primary and secondary wave. And this primary wave is first recorded in the seismograph, and later on secondary waves is recorded. So actually, most of the destruction which happens because of surface waves, not because of body waves. Okay. Yeah, that is the thing that you have to see. Yeah, next one is, what is the effect of earthquake? Earthquake is a natural hazard, and even if it is causing any loss of life or loss of property, it is called as a disaster. So what happens? Immediate effects, there will be the shaking of ground because of surface waves. And next one is differential ground settlements. So whatever the settlements are there on this earth surface, they will be grounded down. And next one is, sometimes it will lead to landslides or mudslides. Sometimes it will lead to fire, avalanches, ground displacements, floods from the dams, levee failures, structure collapse, tsunamis. So these are the some important effects of this earthquakes. And my request is, open your 11th class NCRT and see this chapter clearly, and there's a very high chance of getting question, guys. And very important thing that you have to see is, India's Operation Brahma kicks off. Modi reaches out. So actually what happens, whenever if there is any country is in danger, or if there is any country is in need of help, so India will be the first country to provide help for that so and so country. So here, as you all know, that because of this massive earthquake in this Myanmar and Thailand region, so India wants to provide certain help to this country, and this operation is called as Operation Brahma. Okay, so actually our Prime Minister wants to provide humanitarian assistance to deal with this devastating earthquake. Okay. Yeah, that is the thing. So whenever you are writing about relations between India and Myanmar or India and Thailand, then you can add this Operation Brahma as a case study. Yes, India is also providing humanitarian assistance in the form of this Operation Brahma during this earthquake in this Myanmar and Thailand. So like that you can add this article, guys. And now let us see the next article. See here. ISRO sees breakthrough in semi-cryogenic engine development for LVM3. Okay, LVM3 is nothing but Launch Vehicle Mark 3. It is nothing but GSLV. Okay, so where you can say this topic, semi-cryogenic. Semi-cryogenic, and next one is GSLV. So you will be seeing these two topics in your GS paper 3 under Science and Technology. That too, in which chapter? We have Space Technology. So in this topic called as Space Technology, we will be studying about this launch vehicles and as well as cryogenic engines. So as you all know that when we discussed about difference between this PSLV and GSLV, one important difference that I said is, so it is having 4. So what is that 4? We have solid, we have liquid, solid and liquid propulsion system. And here in GSLV we have only 3 tier system. We have solid, we have liquid, and we have cryogenic. So what is this cryogenic? Cryogenic is nothing but we are storing liquid at a fuel at a very low temperature, that is called as cryogenic. So till now we didn't discuss about the semi-cryogenic, right? So now our ISRO is planning to include this semi-cryogenic in this GSLV. That is nothing but we are going to move towards still more advancement in our GSLV. Okay, so that we can increase further more capability of this GSLV. So when we'll use this GSLV? So GSLV is normally used to keep satellites or payloads in which orbit? In higher Earth orbit. So for medium Earth orbit and low Earth orbit, which satellite launch vehicle will be using? PSLV. So because of this, mostly we'll be calling this PSLV as workhorse of ISRO. So now we are going for further more advancement in this GSLV by including this semi-cryogenic. So here what you have to see? You have to see some details about what is a semi-cryogenic and why we are coming up with this. That means you have to see what are the advantages of having this semi-cryogenic engine. Okay, so now let us see this article clearly. So actually ISRO has announced that we are going for a significant progress in designing and development of semi-cryogenic engine or liquid oxygen or kerosene engine. And it is having a thrust of around 2000 kilonewton that will power semi-cryogenic booster stage of launch vehicle Mark 3. So actually we are going to have certain advantage if you are having this kind of semi-cryogenic engine because it is having more thrust. That means with more boost, here our launch vehicle will be entering into the higher Earth orbit. So if you're talking about some facts regarding the semi-cryogenic engine, it is a liquid rocket engine and it mainly uses liquid oxygen as an oxidizer, and even they'll be using refined kerosene as fuel. So it is very important. So which is a fuel in the semi-cryogenic engine? So we are using refined kerosene as fuel. And what is oxidizer? Oxidizer means nothing but which helps to burn that fuel. That oxidizer is liquid oxygen. And now ISRO is developing a semi-cryogenic engine and is having a thrust of 2000 kilonewtons that will be helpful for booster stages of future heavy lift launch vehicles. That means if you want to take more payloads and if you want to keep that payloads in this high Earth orbits, we need to have this technology for sure. Okay, so what are the advantages of this engine? The first one here is it is having higher density impulse. So it is a combination of liquid oxygen as well as refined kerosene, right? So it will be providing a higher density impulse compared to that of liquid hydrogen. So that overall performance of this engine will be get boosted. And next one is it is cost effective also. So kerosene is more costless compared to that of liquid hydrogen. So because of this, the overall mission cost will be obviously reduced. And next one here is operational efficiency. So kerosene can be stored at ambient temperatures, simplifying storage and handling requirements. So normally, even in our earlier, I think 1 decade ago, so on this PDS system, if you have ration card, they'll be also trying to provide kerosene also, right? So that kerosene, where we'll be storing? Just in plastic cans we'll be storing, right? So do we store that the same cans for this liquid hydrogen? No, right? That means overall handling and access storage cost will be also obviously reduced if you're going for this using of this kerosene. So these are the some important advantages of this semi-cryogenic engine. And next, see this article. Melting ice, more rainfall drives Southern Ocean cooling. So what is the keyword? Keyword is Southern Ocean. What is Southern Ocean? Southern Ocean is also called as Antarctic Ocean. So actually where this Antarctic Ocean is located? Normally near this Antarctica region, right? So actually because of climate change, because of global warming, what is happening? Melting of glaciers is happening, right? So because of melting of glaciers, what happening? So more amount of water will be entering into this Antarctic Ocean, right? And even we are having like more rainfall because of global warming. So because of these two incidents, what is happening here is there is more water influx to this Southern Ocean, and finally Southern Ocean is cooling at a very high pace compared to that of earlier. So because of this, what happened? Do you know we have different types of ocean currents? Ocean currents is nothing but the movement of water in a specific direction. So how many types we have? Two types. What are they? Warm oceanic currents and cold oceanic currents. So what happens? Will be there any impact on this ocean currents? Yes, obviously there will be impact on the ocean currents, and as well as whenever there is cooling of water in the southern ocean is happening, when we are compared to earlier. So whatever the marine biodiversity which is present there will be getting affected or not? Yes, obviously they will be getting affected. So that is the thing which mainly said here. Okay, so this article is saying that the missing fresh water explains about 60% of mismatch in observed and predicted southern ocean surface temperature. So the decreasing of especially surface temperature of the southern ocean is happening. So because of this, it will be having impact on ocean currents. It will be having impact on the marine biodiversity which is present here. Okay, that is the thing which mainly said here. That's it. And next article, see here, diet is key to balancing iron levels in body, says experts. So this article is talking about one important key disease in our India, that is anemia. So what is anemia? Anemia is nothing but low hemoglobin levels in the people. So one important cause here is iron. Okay, whenever there is less iron level, it will lead to the less hemoglobin that causes your anemia. So what happens if you are having anemia? So actually blood is very important. That red blood cells are very important. Why red blood cells are important? Because they are having component called as hemoglobin. So why hemoglobin is important? So based on the hemoglobin only, we'll check whether the oxygen carrying capacity is there in your blood or not. So if you're having huge amount of hemoglobin, then you'll be having more hemoglobin carrying, sorry, oxygen carrying capacity. If you're having less hemoglobin, then what happens? There is a less oxygen capacity. So why oxygen is important? So for every cell in your body to function properly, oxygen is very important. If there is no oxygen, means what happens? The cells will not function properly, so that you will be getting lethargy, you will be getting fatigue, and you will be also feeling giddiness, and you can't perform to your 100% potential. So all these problems will happen if you are having this anemia. So this article is saying that so diet is very important for maintaining of iron levels. Okay, so which kind of diet you have to take? You have to take iron rich diet. So in which fruits or which vegetables or in which food items that you can see the good iron levels? For example, you can take salmon fish, and you can take meat, especially red meat, and you can take this pomegranates, and if you take this dates, and also like beetroot. So in that, so and so fruits and vegetables and food items, you can see there will be very rich iron content. So if you are taking that iron rich food, obviously we can decrease this gap of iron in your body, so that you will be developing good hemoglobin levels in your body. Okay, so that's the thing which mainly said. So here there is some data, you have to make a note of this data. So here this article is saying that the prevalence of iron deficiency anemia in India is 10 to 20% higher when we are compared worldwide. So if you are comparing with any other countries in the world, so in India we are having iron deficiency anemia, that is 10 to 20% of high iron deficiency anemia is seen in India, and especially who are facing this problem? Women. Around 53% of Indian women and children, they are suffering from this iron deficiency anemia. Okay, and next one here is, on other hand, India also tops the people with thalassemia. Thalassemia is also one blood related disorder. So this is also an important problem in India. So if you see about this anemia, it is a medical condition where the number of red blood cells or the hemoglobin level is less than normal. So what is normal? It is around 12 to 16 mg per dl. So if you are having this hemoglobin level which is less than this 12 to 16 mg per dl, then that condition is called as anemia. So how many types of anemia? We have different types of anemia. So one important one is iron deficiency anemia. That means if you're not taking proper iron content in your body, then you will be getting this iron deficiency anemia. That means you should not take this iron related products. Okay, so you have to take iron containing rich foods. Okay, and next one here is vitamin deficiency anemia. So if you are not having vitamin B12, then also that will lead to anemia. It is called as pernicious anemia. And this one is aplastic anemia. Aplastic anemia is nothing but, your blood is produced from bone marrow, right? So if your bone marrow is failed to produce enough number of RBCs, then that is called as aplastic anemia. And next one is you have this sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia is nothing but normally RBC shape is disc shape like this. So it is a normal the shape of this RBC. But what happens in the sickle cell anemia? So the shape of this RBC will be turned into the sickle shape. So because of this, what happened? It will be not having the capacity to carry the proper amount of hemoglobin, and even the life cycle or this life duration of this sickle cell red blood cell is also very less. So it is also one important problem. And apart from that, we have this one more anemia called as hemolytic anemia. That means normally what is the lifetime of this red blood cell? That is 120 days. If they are maturing early, or like if they are dying early, that is called as hemolytic anemia. And this one is thalassemia. Thalassemia is nothing but there is abnormal hemoglobin production in your body. And this one is anemia of chronic disease. For example, if you are having chronic disease, that is nothing but cancer or any kidney disease, what happened? It will be affecting your hemoglobin production. So these are the different types of anemias. And apart from that, you have to see what are the factors which are responsible for this rising of anemia in India. So what problems that you have identified so far? So there is no proper diet, especially nutrition deficiency will be there. So people will be not taking the balanced diet, right? Which includes carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, minerals, everything should be there in the enough content. So here we don't take that properly. And next one is erythropoietic nutrients or essential nutrients that will support the red blood cells, but we are not taking that essential nutrients like B12. And next one is environmental factors. For example, if you are staying in more polluted areas or unhygienic environments, that will lead to this anemia. And next one is blood collection. So normally whenever we are going for this blood donation camps or like that, so if they take more amount of blood than required, then that will be also leads to this. And even in that time also, what happens, sometimes the contamination may happens, right? So because of that contamination also, you will be getting this kind of diseases. Okay, so that is the thing that you have to remember. And now let us see the next article. Title says 11 billion cubic meters of water saved in 8 years, says Prime Minister. So every month our Prime Minister will be giving speech in Man Ki Baat. That is very, very important, guys. And you have to see the highlights of that Man Ki Baat. So what are the statements which are said by our Prime Minister? You can directly use that in your essay or in your answers, introduction or conclusion. So actually in this 120th episode of this Man Ki Baat, he made a statement. So what statement he made was, so India is pushing for water harvesting, wastewater management and recycling of waste. So because of this, we can say that we are taking a lot of steps towards sustainable development or sustainable fashion. So here in this article, he said about the data, and you have to make a note of that data. So what is that data? So here our Prime Minister said that from last 7 to 8 years, around 11 billion cubic meters of water has been conserved, especially through construction of tanks and ponds, wastewater management and water harvesting methods. Okay, that is the thing he mainly said. So here water harvesting is there in your syllabus in your environment and ecology. So you have to know what is this water harvesting, what are the different methods of water harvesting, what are the advantages. So you may get a question on this also, guys. So rainwater harvesting is a process where we will be collecting the water that we'll get from rain, and we will be using for the further purpose. That is called as rainwater harvesting in a very, very simple manner. So here rainwater harvesting involves the capturing of rainwater from the surface like rooftop, or else we are storing it in tanks, or else we are using certain cisterns, and later on we will be using that water for drinking or irrigation or other needs. So this is the meaning of rainwater harvesting. So if you see the different methods, we have recharge pits or we have trenches. So especially in some houses, if you see what are the wastewater which is coming outside, so they will be going into certain drains, that is nothing but the pits which will be absorbing the water. And next one is we have percolation tanks, large shallow depressions designed to store runoff water and they will allow it to gradually percolate into the soil, so that obviously we can go for recharging of our groundwater. And next one is check dams. So small dams that mainly built across the streams or the rivers to slow down the water flow and allowing the more water to seep into the soil. This is called as like check dams. And even we have bore wells or dug wells recharge. And next one is countering and terracing. So these are the different methods that we will be using for recharging of water. And especially these methods are very important for water harvesting, and you will be getting for sure question regarding rainwater harvesting methods and techniques. And next article here is why the Parker Solar Probe is trying to touch the sun. So actually this is a mission of NASA. Okay, so this mission is focusing on studying of sun. Is there any mission which is focusing on studying of sun by India, that is ISRO's? Yes, what is that? Aditya L1. So if you are getting this kind of articles in news, you have to do a comparative study. You have to see what is this mission is and what is the mission of India. Is there any difference or not? If there is any difference, what is the difference? You have to remember that. On that difference, UPSC will try to give you the question. Okay, and this topic is important from your space technology, which comes under your GS paper 3 under science and technology. Okay, so now let us see these two missions. So first let us see what is this Parker Solar Probe. So it was launched by NASA, very important point. When? In year 2018. And for what it was designed? It was designed to study sun's corona, solar winds, magnetic field, so that we can understand this space weather and what is the effect of this space weather on our earth. And next one here is actually it moves in a highly elliptical orbit, and it will uses Venus gravity, so that it will be moving closer towards sun. And what is the speed? So the fastest human made object, and is reaching around 6,92,000 kilometers per hour. It is very highly speed, very fastly moving object. And if you see the difference between this Aditya L1, which is of ISRO's mission, and as well as Parker Solar Probe of NASA. So here it was launched by NASA in 2018. It is by ISRO in 2023. First important difference. And this one is, it is in situ study. So actually it is like a remote observation study. So where we place it, that Aditya, that is at L1 point, and it will be at that position only. And this one is the closest approach so far here is it reached around 6.1 million kilometers from sun. But we placed it in L1 point, it is 1.5 million kilometers from Earth. So see here, that is from Earth, that is from sun. And actually this study which will be conducting on corona and as well as solar winds and magnetic fields. And here we are going to see about CMEs and as well as magnetic storms and solar flares. And how many payloads it had been taken off? 4. But here we lifted 7 payloads under this. So we are having more scope than this NASA's Parker Solar Probe. Okay. And now let us see the next article, guys. So title says timely restatement, free speech restrictions should be reasonable and not a tool to stifle views. So this article is about freedom of speech and expression, and yesterday's class itself we clearly discussed, and I also gave you the mains question regarding this. So I am not going to discuss that. Just refer what are the points that we discussed in yesterday's class. And even in yesterday's paper also most of the articles are regarding transfer of judges, and as well as there is one more article that we already discussed in our earlier class. So I'm not taking that in our today's discussion. So please just revise what are the things that we had done in our earlier class. And next, see this article. Gender gap in household chores persist in urban India. So actually, if you see this image, you can see like women should balance both domestic work and as well as her personal or professional life, right? So she has to maintain personal life and as well as professional life. So there is a dual burden or double burden on women that is seen clearly in urban areas. So actually here you have to see about what is the meaning of gender gap. Okay, so what is gender gap? And you have to see about gender gap index and India's ranking in that, and which organization releases that gender gap index. And next you have to see what are the causes for this gender gap in India and what are the measures. already taken by the government, and if you want to suggest, you can write it under way forward. So you have to see all these areas, and there is a very high chance of getting mains based question regarding this gender gap. And let us see the next article. What is status of SpaceX Mars mission? So here just you have to see about what is the SpaceX Mars mission. So do you know about this SpaceX? It is a private company of USA, and it wants to launch a mission to study Mars. So here you have to see about some facts regarding this Mars as a planet. So why it is called as a red planet. So which mineral is abundant, and you have to see what is this Mangalyaan mission of India and what we are focusing. Okay, so like that you have to compare even SpaceX Mars mission with India's Mangalyaan mission. Okay, so this article is again important from your science and technology, guys. So actually, if you see some facts regarding this SpaceX Mars mission, SpaceX is preparing to launch its first uncrewed Starship. Okay, that mission is called as Starship Missions to Mars. And actually, so they want to launch this, especially in an ideal period. So that ideal period is called as Earth's Mars transfer window. During this Earth's Mars transfer window, and they want to launch this mission. And it is an ideal period, especially for space travel between Earth and as well as Mars. So as you all know that, why we need to focus on this period. So if you see, this is Sun, Mercury is there, Venus, Earth and Mars. So if you are talking about Earth and Mars, so if you want to launch any space mission, for example, if you see the location of Mars is here and Earth is here, is that possible to launch any mission? No, that means it should be in this way, where this Earth and as well as Mars should be in the same alignment. And even we have to see like the distance should be also less. If the Mars is located here, means distance will be more. So if you see here, the distance will be less, right? And we have to see the specific criteria when this Mars and as well as Earth will be in this location. And as you all know that if you see the rotation as well as revolution into consideration, so do Earth and Mars have the same revolution period? No. Again, we have to take into that consideration, and we have to calculate clearly like when we have to launch this. So when we will be getting certain good conditions, that conditions is in this period, that is Earth Mars transfer window. So this window will provide certain positive conditions for launching of the missions to Mars. Okay, so that is about this thing that you have to remember. And what is the goal of this mission? And actually we want to send uncrewed. That means nothing but we are not going to send any man. Okay, it is not a manned mission. So it is uncrewed starship mission, and we want to send this spacecraft, whether it is going to land on this Mars or not. We want to check that first. And next one is, this test is very crucial to ensure that whether the technology is working or not before humans are sent for the future missions. And next one is, if the landings are successful, and it will be the key step forward for exploring of Mars with humans on board. So if this mission is successful, so that we can send humans to this Mars. Okay, so this is about this topic, and these are the important articles that appear in our today's Hindi newspaper. So by this I'm concluding, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and please do like this class and share this class. And don't forget to subscribe to Rathods IS Academy. And if you want to join this Prelims cum Mains Foundation course, and if you want to attend this offline free demo classes, so please contact us on this number 8074765513. Thank you so much, guys.